20 local government chairmen and their deputies have been sworn in Awka, the Anambra state capital, by the state governor, Peter Obi. Well, this follows a near clean sweep of the Anambra state local government elections over the weekend. The newly elected chairmen and their deputies were later given their certificates of return by the chairman, the State Electoral Commission. This is the first local council election in Anambra since 1998.
I can only say to you, congrats. But at the same time, that will be limited here. I can only invite you to work. Beyond the office, you are a citizen of that local government. In fact, you should be expected to be the servant. You have to listen to everybody. You have to do what the people want, not what you want.
Now, the leader of a gang that allegedly robbed 2 bureau de change officers at the Lagos International Airport, Samuel Mayogun, also known as Ashiwaju, has been arrested. The suspect and some of his newly recruited boys were ambushed by men of the police headquarters Special Anti-Robbery Squad in the Ikorodu area of Lagos. The Commissioner of Police, Umar Manko, explained that the gang members were arrested while planning another robbery in Lagos.
Armed robbers who actually designed the robbery at the airport, sometimes within the year and of the previous ones, was making plans to go for a major robbery. They call him Samuel Mayogun, alias Aswaju, according to them. And I sent the information to the detectives of SAS, asked the OC himself to lead the team. Luckily, the information turned out to be true. Samuel Mayogu Aswaju was arrested with the other 5 members of his gang. And in their possession, these arms, general purpose machine gun, an AK-47, some magazines for general GPS were all recovered from them.
On the robbery day, they gave me 45 million naira. I just invest with the money. I buy some truck in which I used to do business of quarry transportations. Then I bought a tanker in which I use to supply petrols all around.
First Bank, truly the first.
Indeed, it is time for business news. Here's Joke Rogers. Joke.
Thank you, Ijoma. Details of the 2014 budget will be made public next week, Monday, when the Minister of Finance, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, gives a full breakdown. The presentation will afford more Nigerians the opportunity to get a better insight into the government's 4.6 trillion naira spending plans and how it affects them. This comes as the House of Representatives mandates the minister to answer questions given to her by its Committee on Finance on the 2014 budget. At a pre-resumption press briefing, Chairman of the House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Zakari Mohammed, said her response would aid the consideration of the budget.
All that the Finance Committee has done was a mandate given to them by the Committee of the Whole, and they will have to report back to us, then we'll take a decision. Definitely on resumption, the Finance Committee will be mandated to brief us on how far it's going with its assignment, and therefore we will draw conclusions and inferences. And we as a House definitely would consider the Constitution or the budget. We are very responsive because money bills are not supposed to be toyed with. We will look at it with our microscopic lenses, but we will not be blackmailed or bamboozled to just assume that it's the case of garbage in and garbage out.
As criticisms continue to trail the new federal government's auto policy, Major players in the industry have cautioned against policy reversals or delay which could send wrong signals to investors in spite of the mixed reactions over the quality and competitiveness of the Nigerian automobile industry. The stakeholders maintain that with a strong political will and commitment as promised by the government, Nigerians can expect cheaper and better quality automobiles in the next few months. Our correspondent Gloria Umezoke reports.
Thousands of used automobiles are yearly imported into the country, making it difficult to account for the actual number of imported vehicles in the country. This big-time business has dominated the Nigerian automotive industry for decades now. So when the federal government announced in October 2013 a new policy that would encourage local manufacturers, the flurry of negative reactions was no surprise. Critical stakeholders, however, maintain that the expansion of the nation's automobile sector will definitely attract greater benefits.
We are shifting from accepting the so-called second-hand, third-hand cars, Tokumbo cars, to improving the quality of what we can deliver to the average person in Nigeria. We're not sitting around this table and telling you we're going to import or we're going to manufacture a Rolls-Royce. That's not our targets. What we're looking at is what kind of market does Nigeria have?
Nobody is going to produce without ensuring that it meets standards set globally by experienced people. So what you find is that the vehicles that are produced here would be as good as those produced anywhere in the world.
The challenge of convincing Nigerians seems huge for these manufacturers, but in the coming months, they say Nigerians will tell the difference and see a strong comeback if the government's new policy does not waver.
If you compare any of the vehicles we assemble locally to those that are imported as fully built units, you see a comparative difference in the quality. The reason is that many customers are relying on price to determine their purchase, and they don't realize that by knocking down the price as low as possible, you also reduce the quality at the end of the day.
Now, ahead of the government's implementation of the new auto policy, which is certainly a huge transformation strategy for the economy, well, these stakeholders are more determined to give auto importers a run for their money. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The Lagos State Governor, Babatunde Fashola, has signed the state's 489.6 billion naira appropriation bill into law. At the signing ceremony, the governor commended the State House of Assembly for the quick approval and promised to use the funds to complete projects in the state.
First, it was a presentation to the Lagos State House of Assembly. Now, the 2014 appropriation bill is approved and signed into law.
Without further ado, this is the signal that in full access and get ready to roll, as it were. And let's go and give this project one really big push to ensure optimal implementation.
The total size of the budget stands at 489.69 billion naira, while the breakdown shows that 234.66 billion naira is for recurrent expenditure, 255.03 billion naira is budgeted for capital expenditure. Education has the sum of 51.38 billion naira, the health sector 22.07 billion naira, works and infrastructure 100.12 billion naira, and environment 25.67 billion naira. Others are agriculture and cooperatives at 23.21 billion naira, transportation 29.13 billion naira, information and strategy 28.73 billion naira, and the judiciary 31.28 billion naira. According to the state government, the budget will be geared towards the completion of ongoing projects in the state.
In the future, as we walk down the deficit, the infrastructure deficit in the state, we will see expenditure begin to shift more towards social infrastructure, and we can begin to ramp up the budgetary allocation to the social sectors like education, health, and environment. But now we have this huge backlog, a deficit in infrastructure that must be worked down.
Expectations are high that the budget will be well implemented.
Finally, Nigeria's all-share index shed 0.10% as investors ignored market heavyweights on the first trading day of the week. Loretta Choga has details.
Hello and welcome to Stock Market Report. The first trading session of the week resumed in South Territory as investors ignored market heavyweights. Well, at the end of the day's session, investors had shaved almost 4 naira off Nestle. The equity finished at 1,156 naira, 3 kobo. Nigerian Breweries and Flour Mills Nigeria also got the cold shoulder, but with value losses under 2 naira. Mobil led 34 other stocks, including UACN and Total, that recorded price gains. Now, down 0.10%, the all-share index closed at 41,441.19, with a market capitalization of 13.26 trillion naira. Unity Bank, Owando, UB Capital, Transcorp, and FCMB were the 5 most actively traded stocks today. When the closing bell rang, 380.83 million shares had been traded in over 6,000 deals for 4.46 billion naira. And that's it on Stock Market Report. I'm Loretta Chiogo.
That's it on business news. On the news at 10, we'll leave you with those other markets around the world before Ijoma returns with the rest of the news at 10.